Hi, you're listening to the Feminine Business School podcast, and I'm your host, Ainsley Young. My work is all about creating a wildly pleasurable and successful business without burning out your body and selling out your soul. I'm also really passionate about ditching the cookie cutter marketing strategies and finding what feels good to you when it comes to marketing. Join me as we talk all things online business, feminist marketing strategies, feminine embodiment, conscious leadership, and pleasurable productivity. Hit subscribe now and let's get started. And to learn the secret to fitting more pleasure into each day while ticking off your to-dos, download my free pleasure and productivity weekly planner. Head to startingwithagh.com/opt-in. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Feminine Business School podcast. I'm your host, Ainsley Young, and today we're going to be tackling the reasons why marketing doesn't work for some women in business, particularly those who are more sensitive, soul-led entrepreneurs. And I can raise my hand and say I am one of them. So if you've ever found yourself saying things like, I just hate marketing, it's not for me, I'm just not good at marketing, or it feels so slimy and icky, then today's episode is a must listen. And here's what we'll be covering. So we'll be looking at why current marketing strategies and marketing models just don't feel safe to us soulpreneurs. We'll also uncover the detrimental impacts of marketing from the wounded masculine and the impact that this has on our businesses. And then I'll share with you a simple solution that you can immediately implement into your marketing strategy to help you move towards cracking that magnetic marketing code. Okay, so I'm curious, does this sound like you? You absolutely love what you do. You love your work and you're incredible at it. So you're an incredible coach, healer, health and wellness practitioner, creative or businesswoman, and you work with some amazing clients. But marketing just feels completely overwhelming or a downright chore. Or maybe you've invested in so many online courses, you've lost count, you've done workshops, you've worked with other coaches, and you're a good girl. You implement the steps to success, you do as you're told. But for whatever reason, they just don't seem to work for you. Or maybe you often feel like you're prostituting yourself out when you're in marketing and sales mode. So you're like, look at me, like my post, download my free thing. And it just doesn't feel great to you. Or maybe you have a marketing plan. So you've done the hard yards and you've put together an incredible marketing plan, but you delay, you procrastinate, or you half-heartedly execute it, or you don't even bother at all. It's just sitting as a Word document on your computer. Or maybe you just hope and you just pray that your clients will magically find you somehow and you won't ever have to market or promote yourself or your work ever again. Now, if you find yourself resonating with some or even all of these points, you're not alone. Trust me, I see variations of these situations all the time with my clients, and I know I've experienced these same feelings and opinions too. But the thing is, marketing is crucial to your business success. It's up to us as business owners to really honor our work and share it with the people who really need it and who really want it. And we do this through marketing. And here's where the problem comes in. The problem is that traditional ways of marketing, or what I call masculine marketing, they don't actually feel safe to us soul-led entrepreneurs, us heart-led entrepreneurs. And this modern way of marketing, this masculine way of marketing, is what's being taught everywhere. So all of the big online entrepreneurs, business coaches, marketing coaches, who are both men and women, they all share the same ways of marketing. And these trends or these strategies are actually tapping into the wounded masculine. And this triggers our wounded feminine response. And I'll get to this in a minute. But the thing is, because we see this is the way everyone is doing it, we think, it must be right. And this is where everybody's teaching marketing. So I must be a good girl and I must follow what they say. And whatever I'm feeling in my body or sensing or noticing in my body must be wrong and they must be right. And we just go forth and we do as we're told, or we don't even market at all. And as I mentioned before, we must be marketing in our business. So let's dive into the unhealthy masculine, unhealthy feminine, but I'm just going to backtrack. So in previous episodes, I've mentioned the masculine feminine dynamic. So all of us, regardless of what we identify as our sexual orientation or our gender, we all have feminine and masculine energy and traits. And we also have unhealthy masculine and unhealthy feminine traits and energy. So as I mentioned, the way modern marketing is going is it's really tapping into unhealthy masculine traits and energy. And these are some examples of unhealthy masculine traits: aggressive, dominant, overly competitive, criticizing, agitating, abuse of power. So I'm sure you can see a lot of those traits in many of the strategies that are out there now. So one of them is the PAS. So it's the pain point, agitate, solution. And what's often taught to us is that we point out the pain points of our audiences, we agitate them, so we make them feel really crap about themselves and we make them feel worse about these pain points. And then we provide ourselves as the solution. We are the heroes. We are the saviors. We will come and save you. So we're really shaming our audience into working with us. And I know for me, this does not feel good. Now, I actually have an honors degree in psychology, and I've learned about consumer behavior as a part of my Masters of Marketing. And I even remember putting together, this was probably 3 years ago, I was putting together a workshop. This is when I was doing more freelance copywriting work. And I was teaching about the psychological triggers in marketing and how we can use them to really create more sales. And as I was doing it, I'm like, this sounds great. Like, this really works. But on the other hand, I'm like, this actually feels really terrible. And I don't like the idea of shaming people and taking advantage of people. I'd rather empower people to want to work with me or to improve their life. Now, the thing with the unhealthy masculine is when this is triggered in us, it also triggers our unhealthy feminine. And some examples of unhealthy feminine traits is that we become overly sensitive, overly emotional, we become needy, we feel powerless, we can become codependent, we can be really withholding, and we can move into this victim mentality. So I know myself when I have been, executing a marketing strategy and I've really tapped into these unhealthy masculine traits of being really aggressive and competitive and criticizing my audience and agitating them and are really abusing my power. After a while, it can trigger this sense of I become overly sensitive and emotional, and I move into victim mentality when things aren't working. Like, why me? Why isn't it working for me? And I'm sure you might be able to resonate with some of the things I'm sharing. So how does this unhealthy masculine way of marketing affect our overall marketing? Well, what it does is it overcomplicates things because the unhealthy masculine is all about complexity. And when we feel there's complexity in our marketing, it triggers off this feeling of overwhelm. So we either don't action our marketing strategies and we don't even bother marketing, or we do a half-hearted job because the complexity makes everything feel really overwhelming and it just adds to everything else that we have to be doing in our life and everything else we have to be contending with in our business. Another thing that marketing from the wounded masculine triggers is that there's no room for our body's wisdom and that we can't tap into our intuition. So the masculine is really head-based logic, and we're told that like moving into our body and, doing things that are more intuitive or things that feel more pleasurable and good, that's just not going to be successful. So it really is a logical framework that we're being taught. And of course, this sucks all the pleasure out of the experience that could be marketing and all the fun and the potential of pleasure that you could be injecting into your own marketing strategies. And of course, the unhealthy masculine really demands us to be more, do more. It's got that really hyper-competitive energy to it. And of course, it's going to lead to burnout because we need to be doing more, and being more time efficient. The good news is that there is a solution, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. So the solution really is to tap into how can we balance out this masculine structure and support with our feminine intuition and flow. So how I like to approach marketing and what I invite my clients to do is to bring together the healthy masculine and the healthy feminine. So the healthy masculine includes things like being more giving, active, confident, having a marketing strategy that is full of clarity. It is logical. It offers stability and support. There's focus and a keen sense of direction. It's infused with boundaries. There's discipline. It's assertive and it is certain. Okay? And then on the flip side, we want to tap into the healthy feminine traits of our intuition, of our creativity, bringing more pleasure into the experience, taking on a more collaborative approach, being more receptive, tapping into our emotions and actually listening to them, being understanding and nurturing, really playing on our sensitivities, moving into a flow state, welcoming ease into our marketing, and also balancing this dynamic of allowing and surrender. So you might be thinking, okay, that sounds really good, but what does this actually mean? It means that we can go and we can create a marketing strategy that we actually want by balancing out that structure and the flow and the strategy, inner bodily sensations. We can also balance out this idea of being really giving and generous, but also being open to receive, which is something that many modern day women find hard to receive. We can also balance out the logic, so really taking an analytical approach with our head, but also balancing this out with our emotions and our heart. And we can also balance out taking inspired action and also, I guess, the art of surrender and detaching from the outcome. So you might be thinking, how do I actually do this? So this is where the embodied approach of depth first, direction second comes in. And I spoke about this in episode 2. So what we really want to do is we want to be tapping into the feminine felt sensations first. So we're going into our body, we're accessing, okay, well, how do we want our marketing strategy to feel? What do we want it to look like? What do we want the end goal? And we're really sourcing this information from our body first, from our inner landscape, rather than our heads and what we think everything should look and feel like. And then this allows us to then move into the masculine go energy and take aligned actions. We've got a clear aligned path in terms of where we should be heading. So that's where we're creating a really stable, supportive, safe marketing strategy that, really lifts our clarity and lifts our confidence, but it's fueled from our intuition, our creativity, our pleasure, and our magnetism. And I have a really great client story to further showcase this. Okay, so I have a client and she is a coach herself and she's also an intuitive. And she was working with people face to face and running women's circles face to face before COVID hit. Okay, and so she wanted to launch her circles online and run her women's circles online, particularly during lockdown here in Singapore. But she didn't want it to be complicated. She wanted the most simple path to success, okay? And that is a really key feminine leadership principle, looking for simplicity, because remember, the unhealthy masculine really taps into complexity. So what we did is we tapped into her own intuition and her pleasure. And we looked at, well, what is the most simple path to success for her? And it wasn't, creating a mammoth landing page. It wasn't sending out heaps of emails to her newsletter list. It really was simple. And the reason why simplicity was such a key for this client is because she has a lot of other things going on, and we really needed to tune into her capacity for this particular launch and this particular project within her business. And really all this client did was send out a few WhatsApp messages. So she just used her network and her phone and did personal outreach to women she felt that would really love this experience. And she did a few Facebook posts. Very, very simple. She had no landing page. I don't even think she had a sales card. She just used like a Pay Me app that we have here in Singapore. And she sold out within a few days just through this strategy. So using her intuition, using her pleasure and her magnetism and WhatsApp. And she did this 3 months in a row, and she continually has a wait list. So this is just a really beautiful case study and a very simple approach, but it offers success. And it's because she's really tapped into the healthy feminine and the healthy masculine way of marketing. So things don't need to be uber complex, really tricky, really triggering, really exhausting. Marketing can be really simple, and by tapping into our pleasure and tapping into our body's intuition, we can let that path be simple and successful and also sustainable. So the fact that she can just continually launch this over and over shows that this path is sustainable. And I also have countless other examples of clients having success with their marketing strategies just when it comes to ditching the unhealthy masculine way of promoting their work and approaching their marketing by just tapping into that healthy masculine and healthy feminine traits and balancing them out. And this is a major shift that I really invite you to make so you can crack the magnetic marketing code in your business. And if you'd like to learn 2 other major shifts you need to make in your marketing to ensure that your marketing is magnetic and that it actually feels good to you. Now, this is especially the case if you identify as a deep soul and you want your marketing to come from a place of sincerity, then you really should check out my free training that I completed recently. And I shared more in depth about the traditional marketing methods and how they don't work for sensitive soul-led entrepreneurs. And then I offer a number of embodied solutions. And you can catch the training over at startingwithagh.com/marketing. And I'll just put the link in the show notes so you can access that more easily. So I'd really love to know what you thought of today's episode. Maybe you've realized that, you've fallen victim to marketing from the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine, like so many of us. Or maybe you're feeling excited about the prospect of finding what feels good to you when it comes to creating your next marketing strategy and just ditching that cookie cutter approach that we've all been taught. So let me know. And if you're keen to share anything that resonated, please just send me a DM on Instagram. You can find me over at Ainsley Young. Okay, until next time, take care and I'll speak with you soon. Thanks so much for listening to today's podcast episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you received some tips and takeaways, or maybe a major aha. And if you did, please leave me a quick 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. I'd be so grateful. And if you'd like to connect, just come and say hi. DM me over on Instagram. You can find me at Ainsley Young. I'll speak with you soon.